was going to kind of go over, this is okay, was going to go over some of the things that I've seen this year that have kind of helped us increase our level of summer camp success, and some things that we're going to do differently this year versus last year and things like that. Are people doing some summer camps already?
Yeah, I've had quite a few questions on it too. And
Okay.
other people who've never done camps and they want to do it this summer. People that have done it before and know that this is the time of year that moms are really looking for a good camp and want to get things straightened out before May when the kids get off from school.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not that far away.
Yeah, it's not. And I think that there's a lot of analogies with your business growth and your martial arts training growth. Like I may not be that wise, but I understand, if I'm working on a technique, I don't freak out that I'm not getting it today or tomorrow. I might be frustrated and I might be a little impatient, but I know that if I keep drilling away at it, that I will have it 12 months from now, 24 months from now, 36 months from now. And in your life of martial arts training, what's 3 years, right? Mm-hmm. To a white belt, 3 years is a world away. To a black belt, 3 years is whatever, right? Like, I'm going to get it. And I know that I can get from, if I'm talking about from 0 to like Jackie Chan, 100%, right? Oh, by the way, you can't use Jackie Chan as a reference anymore in your karate classes. Kids don't know what the heck you're talking about. Not a clue. Not a clue, right? Just like, they're like, hey, what? Do you mean John Cena? Okay. Never mind. Grab your pads, face your partner, take a bow. All right. Yeah. So if you're getting from 0 to 100, we know that 0 to 75 moves real fast. 75 to 90 it moves kind of fast. 90 to 95, not so much. That 95% to 100% like proficiency takes just forever. And I think that it's reasonable to understand that the same thing's going to happen with your summer camps or anything that you're adding. I think that people do not know when they're thinking this might be a fun thing to do. They don't know just how much time and effort and energy it takes to put into it and how much planning. And there's a world's worth of planning. And every year you have to do it again and again and again, and you have to build on it. We start our enrollment, just in case you didn't know, we started our enrollment in November of the year before. We don't start our enrollment right after summer camp because parents aren't really in that frame of mind. And it's a really good kickstart to the idea of summer camp in November during our holiday sale. So that's how we do that. Now, we only take a $10 deposit for each week. And I know a lot of times people will have you had to put 20% down on the total amount of camp that you want, and you get like a discount for doing all of camp and things like that. And I totally understand that. I'm not saying that's wrong. For us, we've found that because we are doing full day, full service summer camp, there are places where you can be client-centric, and there are places where you shouldn't be, where you should be thinking of what the business needs. For example, in terms of weekly pricing, we're not client-centric. Like, it's expensive. I don't know what to tell you. We got to make money. Otherwise, the door's closed. Like, list price for camp is $259 a week. The best thing we can do to be client-centric is offer a super early bird at $159 a week. We can offer early bird at $189. We can offer a discount at $219, and then we can offer full price at $259. That's one way we can be client-centric. If you commit to me early, then you get a discount. The other way is to do a $10 deposit per week. So that means if you need all 12 weeks of our summer camp, you're only paying $120 to get it done. That's not that much money. And if you do not attend the week of camp that you have said you were going to attend, we're not going to bill you. You're not obligated to pay for it. You do lose your $10 deposit, but most parents are like, yeah, like, for example, we make them choose their weeks. So like, that's another thing where we're not client centric. You can't just say, we did this 1 year. You can't just say, I want 7 weeks of camp, because you're not going to show up. Like, you need, I want them with their phone calendar out. Used to be their planners out. My wife still uses a planner. She's like, I can't see it on my phone. I need to see it on paper. I want them with their planners out, looking and saying, we might go on vacation this week. I don't know if we should get this week or not. We need 8 weeks for sure, but I don't know if we need this week. That's when I say, by the way, you don't have to attend that week if you don't want to. You're going to lose your $10 deposit, but it's better than us charging you for a week you weren't here. Most parents go, oh, that's so wonderful, thank you. They sign up for the week, and I know that if I have 100 kids on the roster, I'm only going to have 80 show up. That's okay with me. I just plan for that. I plan for 20% not attending camp. So we are not client centric in that we force them to choose their weeks when they enroll, period. And some parents get irritated with us. Look, I don't know what my weeks are going to be, but I want to get the early bird discount. Well, if you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? Like this is a discount for you to determining you're going to do these weeks ahead of time. If you make a bad decision, you're not obligated to pay for that week. You just lose your $10. Every once in a while, someone will, get upset that they can't get their $10 back. But 95% of people understand that that's just how it goes. The other thing that we don't allow is we don't allow transfer of weeks. You can't say, I want, June 1st through 10th and then June 15th through whatever. And then later on say, hey, can I move those to this date? No, you can't. You selected those dates. And that does sound kind of mean, but when we used to allow transfers, people would transfer all the time. It was terrible. And it was hard to keep track of. This week to that week to this week to that week. And can I gift this week to somebody else? And no, it's your kid in this spot. You only lose $10. If you're that upset about losing $10, I can't help you. What you can do is enroll for the week that you actually need at the current price point right now, because it's not fair. And we're real hardcore about being fair to the people who are following the rules. If you want us to bend the rules, we'll say straight to your faces, that's just not fair to all the people who didn't need the rules bent. So. And if they should understand that. Most parents do. Oh, okay, well, no big deal. It's only $30 extra or whatever. But we do sign up. We signed up 870 weeks, 850 weeks, something like that, at our super sale, and we've signed up 270 now at our early bird, not super early bird. So each year it grows and it expands based on returning campers who want to have that experience again, which. For people who have never done summer camp before, you might start with 50 weeks. You might start with 3 kids in camp, but you're going to build on it each year. And are you willing to put in the work to have 5 years down the road, the biggest camp in town? Mm-hmm. So what kind of questions are you hearing from people who are wanting to get started, Master Silva?
I think, can I just get started in my school? I don't want to do field trips or anything. I just want to keep in the school all day long because I want to keep my expenses down so I can make a little bit of money on this.
Yeah, absolutely. So the key there, the answer to almost anything that you're asking on how to run it once someone is enrolled is probably yes. Like I hear people say, well, I only have 1,500 square feet. Can I still do summer camps? Yes. Right. Well, we're a part-time school and we do it in a community center. Yeah. Have you asked the community center if you can use it from 7:30 to 6? Yes, you can. You just have to make sure that you are taking into account. We've all been there. Like you start a camp. You think, hey, this is a great idea. I'll do a camp. And then you're like, hey guys, it's 9 a.m. Let's do a karate class. Yay. At 9:45, you're like, what do we do now? Right? By 1, you're like, oh my God, I literally, everyone is at each other's throats. You have to have rotations. And like, look, I didn't invent all this summer camp stuff. We just make sure that we make it work for us. We rotate. So if you're not going to the park, say for example, you need to have your whole day planned out in minimum of 30-minute blocks, probably 15-minute blocks. And that's a big thing to wrap your head around. Right? So are you doing early drop-off and late pickup? Because if you're not doing early drop-off and late pickup, then you're not going to get the demographic that you want. Parents who are working parents cannot drop their kids off with you at 9 a.m. and then still get to work on time. If they could do that, they wouldn't need you because they'd have a private babysitter or they'd have flexible enough work hours, right? So the majority of our kids get dropped off between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m. So 7:30, there's already 5 people at the door. Like, hey, I got to get in here. Thank you. Signing their kid out, like running out the door. And then and we don't see the need to open for earlier than 7:30. It usually is like there's one family out of 100 that really desperately wants to be dropped off at 7:15, but I can't help you. Everybody else can deal with the 7:30 through 9. So 7:30 through 9 is usually just lower energy, like playing with Legos, doing things in our activity room, playing card games, whatever. Then at 9, what are you going to do at 9? Okay, so you're going to do a karate class. Great. What are you going to do at 9:45? What are you going to do at 10, at 10:15, at 10:30, 10:45? And if you don't have that down, you're going to be hurting. There's lots of free resources out there. You can Google camp games to play. You can Google games kids like, and put yourself together a list for Monday. But then what's your list for Tuesday?
Right.
And Wednesday, Thursday. So that's why we go to parks. Another thing, let's keep this between us rainmakers. We didn't have buses when we started our summer camp. When we had vans, and then when our summer camp grew, we only had 2 vans, and we couldn't do it with 2 vans. So it was essentially like we had no transportation. We contracted with the local TPS, Tulsa Public Schools, to bring their buses out. They had these activity buses that were like air conditioned and all this kind of stuff. And we just paid them. It was like $9 an hour or something like that, to take our kids to the park and then bring them back from the park. And every day we used them. And it was expensive, but it was also like, okay, but we could do it, and you have to decide, like, sometimes you got to pay to play. You got to you got to take that expense on in order to get the people in there that are going to pay for that expense and feed the monster. So yes, you can, but you might consider what else you're going to do instead of not going to the park.
In Florida, we used to do something in the morning. So the bus was there waiting at 9 o'clock. Kids would get on the bus and we would do park, we'd go swimming, go to the beach. I mean, there'd always be something because it rained every afternoon.
Right.
So they would have lunch, and then really they started at the school about 12:30, 1 o'clock. So
Yep.
The afternoon at the school was kind of short.
Right.
By the time they do some karate, then play a game, and then have a snack, and basically, that was it.
And the afternoons are the hardest. Our afternoon counselors rarely return because you gotta be on your game. You gotta be hardcore. You gotta be a taskmaster. They will run you over. By 2 p.m., if you have kids, by 2 p.m. they're like, I hate everything, right? They just want to watch the world burn. And especially you're going to get kids in there that are daycare kids. They've been daycare kids their whole lives, and they know how to play the game, and they know how to survive, and they compartmentalize. So they are Johnny A at home, they're Johnny B at church, they're Johnny C at school, they're Johnny D at summer camp. And summer camp's the place where they're like, I'm going to flex on all these cute girls and all these dudes that don't know what's hit them, and they like come at you, right? So you have to be prepared for that afternoon, and you got to rotate hard. Afternoons are rough. That's why we kind of wear them out at the park. That's a huge piece of the puzzle is going to the park, and we play games. So we don't just let them do free time. We let them do free time, but we also rotate through really big games. So let's say you have a 1,500 square foot space. Tell the parents, like, you're always using that as leverage. If whatever is your issue is not your issue, it's your solution, right? If it's a problem, it's not a problem, it's a feature, right? Yes, we do have a really wonderful intimate space here. You're right, Miss Johnson. However, we only take advantage of this space that's small, where we can supervise your child very well in the afternoon. In the morning, we go out and play in the big fields, and we play kickball, and we run them ragged, and they have a great time. And then they're pretty low energy here in the afternoon, even though they're not, compared to playing kickball. So afternoons are hard. You got to be aware of afternoons. Another thing that I can tell you, if you are running summer camp already, is force them to sit down for the entire 30 minutes of lunch. We tell our counselors that. They don't understand that. They'll have kids that are like, kids, they're playing. The kid just came back from the park, and they know they're about to go to dodgeball. And they're like, yeah, one bite. I'm done. Let's go. And it's like, no, sit down. Like, you might be done, but you're not allowed to throw any of your things away until I give you permission, and you're not allowed to leave your seat. Hang out, talk with your friends, chill. We're gonna leave here at 12:30. Well, what time is it now? 12:02. Oh my God. Okay, fine. And then you look over there and they've eaten all of their lunch and they're relaxed and they're talking with their friends. Like they need that reset. Otherwise your afternoon is even worse. So just quick summer camp tip from a grizzled veteran.
One time I did summer camp and I had my instructors run the summer camp, and then they were dead by when they had to start teaching classes. So a year after that, I hired high school kids and a couple college kids. I dressed them up as counselors. I had white shirts made with their embroidered name on it. Everyone wore black shorts, so it looked like a team of professional counselors. And then each counselor had a group of kids. So each one was charged like 10 kids. They got their own name and things like that.
Yep. Yeah. And that's one thing that I hear people say is they're like, I don't know where to hire people. And I'm like, that's easy. Have you ever tried to hire a karate instructor? They're all weirdos. None of them want to do your style your way. And they insist on saying stamp kick instead of front kick or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's hard. What's easy is getting some doughy-eyed education major who thinks that he or she is going to change the world. By the way, I don't even hire dudes anymore. I'll interview them, but they all just stink. The women have way more grit than the dudes do. The last year I fired a dude because someone reported to me that he said to a kid's face, "I don't have time for this bleep. I don't have time for this shoot." Yeah. And I was like, "Well, you do, because it's your job. So get out." It was bad. Anyway, that's easy because they're ready to like serve their community. Like they want to help kids. And that energy hasn't been beaten down by their own children yet. And it hasn't been like, they don't have a lot of understanding of how the world works. They're just ready to go. And so they bring this life and this energy to your camp. And it really is wonderful. We do a different colored shirt each day. So we got the Motion Toast logo. We do a t-shirt because it's hot here. I know it's hot in Florida. It's hot here. And fortunately, like the trend is all of the girls are wearing leggings anyway. Right now, a lot of them will wear shorts. I'm totally okay with that. I don't have any issue with shorts. I don't do the whole, like, your shorts have to be 2 inches above the knee or whatever. I don't care. If some mom or dad says, I think that's inappropriate, I'll say, I have no problem with the human form to you, Miss Johnson. Right? Like, it's just it's not an aesthetic or a cultural thing that I care about. And when we don't put a big emphasis on it, no one has an issue. I also wouldn't hire someone who would wear something super inappropriate anyway. But so we do different colored shirts each day. We just get them screen printed and they say staff on the back, and it's like they know that it's black on Monday, green on Tuesday, blue on Wednesday, or whatever. So,
do you have to carry any type of special insurance if you go out of the school? Do you need camp insurance?
We do have insurance. We have an insurance that covers our parkour. We have general liability, and then we do have insurance that covers like our after school and summer camp. It's convoluted, but I think that you need to ask your insurance agent, right? I think that your martial arts insurance often will cover you going out to places with kids, I believe. But you really need to make sure that you ask your agent, and ask multiple agents. Get multiple quotes. Independent agents will work really hard to get you the right coverage with the right quote because they know you'll stick with them for a long time. So go find an independent agent and ask, like, hey, we're exploring summer camp. Here's what we do. We go to the park in buses, or we don't go to the park. We just have kids playing in our facility. What kind of insurance should I have for that? And just see what they have to say,
With the Youth Safe Sports Act, I know because like martial arts schools mandatory report if they think someone's being abused or anything like that. And schools are supposed to train their staff members and volunteers on that. So I imagine you have to do that with all your counselors.
Yeah, we talk to counselor. One of the things that we talk about, these doughy-eyed counselors who are like going to change the world. One of the things that is challenging for them is to understand kids from different backgrounds. The fact of the matter is that socioeconomic class is a thing. And most of the people that we get in to become counselors are college kids. The fact that they're even in college says something about where they are like socioeconomically. If we have kids who are maybe from a rough-ish background, or maybe they've had a hard time, even we get sometimes foster kids, like they're new to this family, they've been with this family for like a year or whatever. They sometimes don't know what those warning signs are. And we do have to talk to them about, like, why would a kid possibly talk about this inappropriate subject? It's not because they're a bad child, and we always, they're always shocked because we'll say, just when you see someone walk up to the trash can, look around and rip up a paper real quick and throw it in, don't go over to the trash can right away. Make sure that they think they got away with it, then go to the trash can and take a peek at it, because it's most likely a naked lady, right? It's probably that, or a bunch of cuss words that they practice writing cuss words.
Yeah.
And they're like, what are you talking about? And then they're like, yeah, that's probably just dramatic. And then they're like, oh my God, it really is a naked lady and there really are cuss words. What do we do? And it's like, they're here to explore that, but you have to know what's normal versus what's disturbing, or what needs to be addressed. And we do talk about that, and there's a lot of resources for that as well. A kid that just says, hey, I know the F word, that's different, right? That's just their parents are not around and they want to show off. A kid that is like describing, say, sexual things or whatever, though, that is something that you have to pay attention to. We have had to report, we've had to report 3 kids to DHS. One of them was kind of a big deal, but yeah. And you also need to vet your counselors. Just because they're ladies doesn't mean that they don't deserve to get a background check. It doesn't mean that they don't deserve to be watched. 99% of those of issues are going to be with male counselors, which is one of the reasons that they got to be a superstar for us to hire them. But you do have to pay attention to the optics of things that are inappropriate. We don't allow piggyback rides. We don't allow physical touch unless it's necessary. Like, necessary physical touch is totally okay, but we're not going to just have, so let's say we have a kindergartner who's really having a hard time, and he or she needs to sit in a counselor's lap and cry it out. Totally. That's totally fine. We have a 3rd grader who consistently wants to give the counselors hugs and sit in their lap. No, have a seat. You need to sit in your own seat, because we're not going to have parents come in and say, what the heck is going on in here? You know what I mean? Right. So those optics are important, even though the actual reality of the situation is important, the optics are important too. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. I've got to do some research so I can offer clients somewhere to get those resources that they need to learn. Mm-hmm. I know with my church, being a volunteer, both my wife and I had to do a 12 video program. Each video was like 30 minutes long, and we had to finish it within a month. Yeah. It was all about things like that, how people try to test boundaries, by giving you a hug one time and the hug becomes a crack. Just all kinds of stuff that you really had to be careful with. Right.
Yeah. And we do have a lot of boundaries like that. Like, we use the word boundaries a lot because, if you have to pay attention to it. Yeah, I'll be interested to see what kind of resources you can pull up, because we talk to our counselors about it, but I don't know that we use a specific curriculum for it, so we probably should.
Yeah, the one that they sent us for the church, they sent you a link, you had to register it, and then they got when you finished. So they could look and they say, okay, these 10 people were sent it, and these 10 people have seen all 10 videos.
That's good. No, that's good. Yeah. Well, yeah. So if you're trying to start camp and you're thinking about maybe this is the year, yes, this is the year immediately right now. Post in the group. Ask every question that you can think of. I'll tell you right now that if you are not prepared to do full-day, full-time camp, you're probably not going to have the success that you're expecting to have. Master Silva's right. If you have an instructor that is helping you, you need to be the one that does all the camp and let the instructor do the evening, afternoon classes, because if you make them do it all, they're going to burn out, and you can and should do it all, right? You're the owner. You're the driver of the ship. You're the captain. You're the one that shows up at 6 a.m. and doesn't leave until 8. Suck it up, Buttercup. That's what's going to happen on your first year and your second year and maybe even your third year. But eventually you'll get a system where you can trust people to be there a little early and things like that. But it's a ton of work. But for us, our highest grossing months are now in the summer. Never thought I would say that.
Well, if you get 1,000 weeks of camp at $100 even, I mean, you're talking $100,000 summer. So
Exactly.
I think everyone's got to kind of realize what the potential is. So if you're just doing it first year, I got 100 students in my school, and this is going to be my first year. What do you think I could expect to get people in summer camp, and what would they pay?
So there's pricing models, right? If you've never heard of like marketing pricing models, you can plunge the market and undercut them, and I think that you should, because are you willing to put in a whole ton of work and make hardly anything in order to give yourself the experience to make more money later? You should be able to. So we did early bird pricing at $99 a week. Holy crap, that's cheap. That is cheap, and parents know it, and they're going to be like, okay, let's go, right? So you only get $99 if you do all 12 weeks of summer. So now you're communicating to people who need it. And you have to pay for those weeks, right? There's no, like, if you sign them up, we're going to bill you whether you show up or not. And then on the next levels, you can go from 99 to 119 to 129, and then maybe cap out at like 149 a week during the actual summer months. But you can plunge your market and advertise to everybody who's looking. If they're looking at the YMCA and it's 160, and they're looking at some robotics camp and it's 220, and they're looking at you and you're 99, and you're going, and they're going to learn discipline and self-defense. Okay, that's a pretty easy sell. But create your plan, run it by us here in the group, and let us pick it apart and then build it back together. But you need to get started right now. On tomorrow, what we're going to do is actually show you how I set up my profit generators, so that you can actually sell that camp. You can literally just copy my profit generator. I think I've shown it a million times, and people are always asking me, how did you get it to like do that drop down where they can choose their weeks? Because we make them select their child's grade, their child's t-shirt size, and each of the weeks that they need. And that way we have in the profit generator, if we ever lose our master roster, our computer crashes, Rainmaker has every kid's weeks there in the profit generator, which is pretty cool. So that's what we're doing tomorrow during our workshop.
So I got to ask you one more time. If I had 100 people.
Oh, sorry. Are you doing specialty camps, or are you doing full-time camps? If you have 100 students and you're doing specialty camps, you're going to do nunchuck camp from 9 to noon, Monday through Friday, 1 week in July. You could get 20 of your kids to sign up. Right. Absolutely. If you're doing full-time, full-service camp, your main membership base that you have right now is not your demographic. I think we have 2 or 3 of our 200 members in camp. Now we have like half of our after-schoolers, because that's our demographic. Right. See what I'm saying?
That's really important right there. So don't just think you're going to market your students and get 20%. Mm-hmm. You have to go outside your student body.
Yep. And don't bait and switch them. Don't say, hey, summer camp, do you want to sign up for karate? Do you want to sign up for karate? Like, give them the service that you said that you were going to give them, and then waive as they exit in August, because you're going to waive as they enter again in next May. So, like, you're going to have people that come and rely on you every summer. Don't be so upset. Don't be such a snowflake that they don't want to do karate. They're not there for karate. They're there for summer camp. Yeah.
Very good. All right. So.
All right. If there's any other questions, we can answer next week too. But we're gonna talk tomorrow about how to set up the profit generators, and then if you get more questions about summer camp, we can do that again next time.
Very good.
Hey, William.
Yes, sir.
William, real quick, can you give me a link to tomorrow's message?
I don't have it yet, but I don't have it yet. But I'll put it in the. I'll do it right now, and I'll put it in the group.
In the group.
Yep.
On Facebook. Got it.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Rainmaker Business Group.
Yep. We'll do.
Cool, guys.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.